Hello? It should work. The clicker doesn't work. Yep. Dobloi utro. Am I right? Moscow. Moscow. Anyway, hello Moscow. Welcome to the RubyCon for Austria 2016. Oh, right? No. No. RailsClub. This is RailsClub. I haven't attended Rails conferences. I had never. So, and I probably will not. So the RailsClub is an exception. There are a few reasons. So I don't know why, but you guys in Russia don't organize a RubyConf. But I wanted to be here. And then the organizers that invited me for years, so they finally persuaded me to be here. And thank you. As you know, the Rails is not equal to Ruby. Yeah. And I confess, I'm not a web guy. I don't program in Rails. I do Ruby. Actually, I design Ruby, and I've implemented Ruby. So fundamentally, I am a C programmer. I spend most time in C. But I don't do any web stuff. And Rails is designed by the guy, the DHH, the David Heinemeier Hansen. Yeah, probably right. And Ruby is designed by me, Mats, and my name is Yukihiro Matsumoto, or say, in Japanese accent, Matsumoto Yukihiro. Can you say that? Matsumoto Yukihiro. Yeah. Anyway, so let me talk about the history. Back in 1980, so that's when most of us don't be on the earth. You haven't born yet. But I started programming back then in BASIC, on a pocket computers like this. Yeah, this is, back then, this is the only computer affordable for me. So, and then the BASIC on this computer was pretty much limited. So limited programming language. Just because, only one letter variables are allowed. So that means only we can 26 global variables. If the BASIC was in Russian, you can use 33 variables, but I could use only the English alphabet, so only 26 global variables. So, and then only 1,400 steps. In other words, 400 lines of code in maximum. So this is so limited. So I was struggling with the language itself, other than the task I wanted to solve, like writing games in 1,040 lines, and writing some kind of calculation in this limited memory. So it's kind of difficult. So I struggled with the language. Then the few years later, I was interested in the programming language itself. So I struggled with the languages so tough. so frequently. So I interested in programming language in general. So I started learning about the languages out of the world, in the world. So, but back then I only had this teeny computer, so I cannot write programs for these programs. And it is quite difficult to obtain the compiler for those languages like the Pascal, Lisp, Ada, Smalltalk. Now, I can buy the computer that can run Pascal compiler for, I don't know, 2,000 US dollar, and the compiler itself costed extra $2,000. So it's not affordable for high school students. So only I could do was reading books and studying programming language. So luckily, it is possible to write programs on a sheet of paper. So back then, I started writing programs on the notebooks. Then these languages are designed by human, right? So Pascal was a guy who names Nicholas Velt, and then the other programming language was designed by other people. So these languages are not given. Like, no one designed Russian, right? No one designed Japanese language. But, these programming languages are designed by specific human. In recent time, they are still alive. Most of them are still alive. Oh, John McCluskey was dead. Anyway, so back then, in the 80s, I thought, why not me? So if the people out there could design their own programming languages, so I'm pretty interested in programming language and in the design of programming language. So why not me? Why couldn't I design my own programming language? So, but I didn't have any computers, so I took my notebook and I write down the programs in my dream programming language. Yeah, that's so pity I lost that notebook. So but back then I didn't have computers, I didn't have knowledge, we didn't have internet back then. So it was me a dream, only a dream. So if I could design programming language, it would be so nice. And I entered in university, majored in computer science, and graduated from the university. Then I started working as a programmer in 1993. So in early 90s, in Japan, the bubble economy was crashed. So we had very deep depression, economical depression. So my project was canceled. But luckily, I wasn't fired. So I was left in the project to maintain the leftover software created by the council project. And then, actually, I didn't have anything to do. So I sit in front of the desk. The computer was on the desk. I have plenty of time. So I started my pet project on that computer, which gradually going into Ruby. So in that year, 1993, so Ruby was born. So the 2 years later, 1995, I put it on the internet. So this is the way we had the Ruby in the world. So officially, Ruby's birthday is the February 24th, 1993, which I named it Ruby. On the day, I named it Ruby. But I released it on the internet on December 21st, 1995. So in one definition of the birthday of the language, the Ruby's birthday is December 21st, 1995. So since then, Ruby gradually getting popular bit by bit. especially in Japan. But there are tons of programming languages out there. So maybe thousands of programming languages in the world. And most of them stays few years, like 4 years, 5 years, then they gradually disappeared. So I expected Ruby went like this. Ruby would go like this. So Ruby is getting popular and get maybe few hundred users on the internet, and then a few years later, it gradually disappears in the history of the internet. But that didn't happen like that. In year 2000, so the guy named Dave Thomas and Andy Hunt came in and wrote a book on the newly coming programming language named Ruby. So it was nicknamed by the Peacock books. And by this book, so many people got interested in my programming language. And then next year, we got first international Ruby conference held in Tampa, Florida. The attendee was 35 people, only 35. But the highlight of this year is not this conference, but a few months earlier, we had a conference named the JAOO, that stands for Java and Object-Oriented Programming. So JAOO held in Aarhus, Denmark. I was invited to that conference to introduce the new programming language named Ruby. Yeah, it was new back then. So that was a great conference, Java and Object-Oriented and programming languages. And I met with a student volunteer from Denmark, and who was a PHP programmer, and whose name is David Heinemann Hansen. And a few years later, he built up that application named the Basecamp in Ruby, and he ripped off the fundamental part of the application into the framework that names Ruby on Rails. So the framework that changed the world. So the Ruby on Rails became so popular, and people who use Rails use Ruby. So that makes Ruby pretty popular among the web application world, even though I'm not a web guy. So the fundamental principle in Rails is a COC, dry, and omakase. And then COC stands for the convention over configuration. Maybe you knew better, better about this. And the proper default, by providing proper default setting, so that covers 80% of, so you don't have to worry about the huge XML configuration file or anything like that. That is so revolutionary back then, 2004. And so you running on a truck, or you follow the Rails way, so you will be happy and very productive. That is called COC. And dry stands for the don't repeat yourself. So that means be conscious. The succinctness itself is a power. So in the history of programming language, more than 60 years of history of the programming language, so the software expressiveness is getting bigger and bigger. So the software become more and more succinct. So succinctness itself is the power. That's what the program says. And then longer code drains your brain power. So your code, your application should be as succinct as possible. So the one way is writing DSL, domain-specific language. So the DSL provides a high abstraction, self-documenting code and validation at the domain level, and productivity, reliability, maintainability, portability, and reusability. Oh, I can say that. Rails itself is a DSL. That may sound a little bit weird, but think about that. So the Rails itself is a DSL in the Basecamp web application. So the DHH created DSL for his web application and ripped off this DSL into web framework. So the Dave Thomas once said the programming is a process of designing your own DSL for your application. So the DSL, you are writing DSL for your application. So when you're writing web application, so the domain-specific language itself is a DSL. So the providing DSL by adding domain-specific vocabulary like active support. So I didn't design this kind of lines 2 days ago. Yeah, that's astonishing for me. So, and by adding domain-specific structure, like active record itself is the sub DSL in the Rails that could access or retrieve the data from database. So the Rails itself is a set of DSLs for web applications. That is enabled by the metaprogramming, which is Ruby inherited from the previous languages like Lisp and Smalltalk. And in addition, the Rails is omakase. Is any one of you understand the word omakase is? No. The omakase is Japanese. And like this, omakase. So omakase fundamentally means the chef's choice, especially in sushi restaurant. So instead of making choice by you, the chef make decision by many factors like the fish the restaurant has, or maybe your preference, or many other factors. The chef made decision, so you don't have to make decision. So you only enjoy the sushi. So that means the Rails is pretty much opinionated. So you follow the Rails way, so you will be happy. So using Rails is following DHH's opinion, right? So DHH is a person who is pretty much opinionated for development of web applications. Yeah, he's a very strong person. Yeah, unlike me. But his opinion is influenced by Ruby, the language, by the metaprogramming, or maybe the design principle behind Ruby. And that language was designed by me. So in other words, I influence you, right? Yeah. So the basic principle behind Ruby is the productivity. I want to provide productivity for programmers, or in other words, development efficiency, not the runtime efficiency, but the development efficiency. And I want you to be happy, and I want to focus on humans, not machines. So, for example, Ruby is an object-oriented programming language. And it is dynamic typing, unlike Java or Scala or maybe other programming language. Those programming languages are statically typed. So all the variables, all the expressions are typed in compile time. But the Ruby is dynamic typing, or in other words, it's duck typing. Maybe you know about the duck typing. So if it walks like a duck, that quacks like a duck, we assume it is a duck, right? So it does duck typing. So not this duck typing. but this duck typing. So it works like a duck. It is a duck. It works like a duck. It is a duck, right? I don't care about the internal. I don't care about the slight difference. So we can assume it is a duck. This is a fundamental concept of duck typing. Then that is essential of the object-oriented programming. So we do not classify by classes. So like animal, mammal, human, or something like that. This is bad example of object-oriented programming. We do not check types. So just ask, do this, do that. And then it is capable, if it is capable to act like as asked, so we assume it is a duck. So we don't care about inheritance. We don't care about structure. So we just care how it behaves. So we can ignore inside detail. That is the very fundamental concept of object-oriented programming. So ask computer to dispatch. So internally, so we have to dispatch. So this is the string. We have to care about the string class structure. So we dispatch this and this and that. But if this is an array instead of string, so we have to handle this as an array or something like that. But we don't want to care about those. So we just want to ask. So retrieve first element from this object, no matter what structure it is. So we don't have, so that basic concept is we don't have to work on that. So let computer work for you. So don't work too hard. Be lazy. The fundamental principle behind duck typing is become lazy. Dry. Yeah, dry is a very famous principle. Don't repeat yourself. So avoid duplicates, avoid redundancy. But avoid copy and paste. Because it's bad. Why bad? Because you spread bugs all over. Besides that, we are lazy. So we are too lazy to maintain duplicates. So we encourage being dry just because we are lazy. We want to be lazy. We are very eager to become lazy. So in summary, those principles, very important principles behind Ruby, duck typing and dry, it is for encouraging the spirit of laziness. So when I met Larry Wall, who invented Pro programming language, so he told me the 3 virtues of great programmers. So if you want to be great programmer, so you want to encourage those 3 great virtues. Those are laziness, impatience, and hubris. The laziness means, oh, too long. The quality that makes you go to great effort to reduce overall energy expenditure. It makes you write labor-saving programs that other people will find useful and document what you wrote so that you don't have to answer so many questions about it. So that's the laziness. The impatience. The anger you feel when the computer is being lazy. So we want to be lazy. I don't want the computer to be lazy. So this makes you write programs that don't just react to your needs, but actually anticipate them, or at least pretend to. The hubris. the quality that makes you write and maintain programs that the other people want to say bad things about it. And he said, laziness is the most important virtue. So be lazy. We should not work too hard. We have to be lazy. We have to enjoy what to do. So that's the reason behind enjoy programming. So the biggest obstacle is our psychological tendency, which we call alpha syndrome. Have you ever heard of the alpha syndrome? Maybe not. So computers are great. They'll never be tired, never be bored. They are fast. We can be more productive when we work with computers, right? So computers are great. But, so we have to be aware of alpha syndrome. Alpha is a group, leader of a group. Have you ever seen the Jurassic World? Yeah, we had some kind of velociraptor, the three or four, I don't remember the number, the four velociraptor, the alpha, beta, gamma, or something like that. So alpha is a leader of a group. So if you control the alpha, you can control entire group. So in some kind of animals, like dogs and the velociraptor, so they have some kind of order of a hierarchy. So the alpha controls the group, right? So imagine your pet dog, like this. This is my dog. So you pet it, you work for it, you do everything you can do for it. And then it gradually started feeling, oh, they are so nice. They treat me as a king. So I must be an alpha. So it starts to behave bad. So I'm alpha, so you obey. So that's alpha syndrome. And then, I'm talking about the computers. Computers, they are efficient, but they are not perfect. They are far from perfect. You have to care about them. You have to work for them. You start to pay effort for them. Then we gradually think about their alpha. So you are gradually become their slaves. So the computers, we have to care about computers so much. We have to nurse computers so much. So we, what? I don't remember the word. Wait, we have to pay our effort so much for computers. So we gradually think about we do everything for computers. That's kind of alpha syndrome, or maybe reverse alpha syndrome. So treating computers as our alpha, so we unconsciously think us about a non-alpha or beta or something. So we unconsciously become slaves of computers. So remember, you are the masters. So don't work too hard. Don't work. Be lazy. So let computers work for you. So maybe you don't know, but there is some word named karoshi. Have you ever heard of that? The karoshi is from Japanese, like sukiyaki or something like that. But this is very bad words. The karoshi is death by working too hard. Yeah. Japanese people has very long tradition of the diligent work, but it has very heavy side effect. We work too hard, and working too hard is prioritized so high, so that we see being productive. We do not emphasize being productive. So we very tend to be work too hard without being productive. So we spend hours in office. So some people lives in office. So, and this is not exceptional, unfortunately. So last week in Japanese news, the young lady died, killed herself last year for working too hard in a company. And so that news stimulated the people so much, and we have some other reports that this person has died, killed himself by working too hard. This guy was killed by illness, but mostly due to the working too hard, something like that. So this is very bad tradition in our country. But Japanese is not special. So we have some kind of a tendency in like that. So we often work too hard. That's not good. That's not good. We have to eliminate karoshi from the world, from the programming world at least. So don't work too hard. Remember Ruby principles: the productivity, development efficiency, the programming happiness, focusing on humans. So those are the principles that makes us let's work, be productive, enjoy programming. So avoid karoshi. So don't work too hard. And then to be productive, we need more power to make us happy programmers, to avoid hard working, to avoid alpha syndrome. We need more power. The Ruby Rails give you power. That's our ultimate goal. Core teams, the Ruby core teams, working very, very hard to make Ruby more productive, efficient, and a better programming language to make you productive, make you work less, and then make you happy. So empowering programmers, that is our ultimate goal. The Ruby core team, design programming language, implement programming language, improve programming language to make you better programmer, empower you. So that I trust you. So the great power comes with great responsibility, as uncle, the Spider-Man's uncle said. So I trust you. You will do great works if you got power. So more power to programmers. I want to deliver more power to programmers. So that's the fundamental design principle behind Ruby. And then I believe, actually I haven't talked much with this topic with the DHH in before, so that's only my estimate. But I believe he agreed with you. Agree with me, I mean. He agreed with me. He wanted to empower you, I assume. And then with that power, that kind of power, you can be more productive, you can be more happy, and then you will bring world great things using that power from Ruby and Rails. So using power from computers, you can do anything. You can make the world a better place. So I trust you. You can make things and the people, a world, better place to live. And then Happy hacking.
Наверняка есть вопросы.
Спасибо.
So,
Very much thank you for you. Very much thank you for the Ruby language. It really makes me happy. It really makes me happy, and I think all of us. So thank you again. And the question, can you tell us some words about mRuby work? Yes.
mRuby. So I confess that I haven't worked as a programmer for CRuby for a long time. So we have the very smarter people in Ruby core team, so I don't have to work on the C programmer for CRuby. But I have other pet projects named mRuby. mRuby is an alternative implementation of Ruby language. And it's smaller, it has a smaller memory footprint, and it has the embeddable C API. So, and it is a subset of the Ruby language as a library-wise. The syntax-wise, it is fully compatible with 1.9 at least. And so some people already use mRuby in their productions. Like I don't remember the name of the company, but some company in Brazil embed mRuby in the credit card payment machine. So that recognizes every credit card, every debit card, even Bitcoins. So that programs is written in mRuby, embedded in this size of the credit payment machines. The other companies, say back in Japan, is working on embed mRuby in the internet router. Or maybe some other guys embed mRuby in vending machines, or maybe in microsatellites, like a satellite of this big, the flying orbits for a year or two. And then they are working very diligently to make embedding programming better and more productive. So, and then you can check out the mRuby source code from GitHub mRuby/mRuby. Did I answer your question? Yes.
Thank you for your presentation, and I want to say sorry about my English, but actually the question.
Me too.
Okay, nice. Not so far was a presentation of new concurrency model in Ruby called guilds, and can you say about a couple of words when we, maybe in dates, we can try this in our home project, or maybe some brave guys can try it in a production already, because I think that's really a big, a big step forward for Ruby. We're all waiting for this.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. The concurrency is the one of the the goals of the new coming major version of Ruby named Ruby 3. And then one is concurrency, the other one is some kind of the compile type checking, and the other one is the performance. For concurrency, we have tried many things in the past. Like I gave a presentation in Euroko last year and for the concurrency, but then in the core team, we discussed very heavily about making the suitable future Ruby concurrency. Just because currently we have threads for concurrent programming, but our threads requires the global interpreter lock, which limit only one thread at a time runs in the virtual machine. Just because the virtual machine itself is not really a thread safe. And it is very difficult to make it the real thread safe for the virtual machine in C. And unlike JRuby, which is Java, is a fundamentally concurrent programming language. So you can have the concurrent data structure built in to the language. But C is not the language like that. And if you access one object from many threads, you will see some kind of the inconsistency even in JRuby. So I don't want to do like that. So I want some kind of the more higher abstraction from concurrent C. So after the heavy discussion within the Ruby core team, so we recently proposed the potential mechanisms for the Ruby 3 concurrency, which is named Guild. Not the Gil, G-I-L, Guild. And then Guild is the organization with a membership. So any object belongs to one guild at a time. So you can transfer one guild to another guild. So that means in reality, you can void this object. And then you can enable the copy of the shallow copy of that object in the different guild. So you can access only one object at a time from one guild. So you don't share object among guilds. So that means you don't have to worry about the shared state between guilds. So the Koichi Sasada, who came here last year, and who is the guy behind the idea of guild, and who named it guild. And he now experimenting it very heavily in his C programs. And then he has prototype, and he's measuring his effort. And then I believe he's working okay. So the time frame, yeah, that's a great question. I don't know the time frame just because we have so many uncertainty, so ambiguity in the behavior, specification, or many things. But I estimate, only I estimate, so we will see guilds in Ruby in 2.5 or 2.6. That means next year or 2 years later. So, so you have to wait at least a year or maybe 2. So let me explain a little bit more about that, releasing. So we release the minor version of Ruby, C Ruby, once every year in December. So we will have the 2.4 in coming December, Christmas, and the 2.5 in next year. And then we will incrementally integrate the Ruby 3 features like guilds into the Ruby 2.x. So we will, once we implement it and successfully implement the guild, so we will introduce it in Ruby 2.5, 2.6 or something like that. So you don't have to wait until the official release of Ruby 3. So that's what I can say now.
Вопрос.
Hi, thank you for your presentation. It was great. And I have a very short question. What do you think about statical typing in Ruby? Like in Java, for example. Thank you.
I'm not against static typing, so you know, I like some statical types of programming language. When I was in university, I even designed statically typed object-oriented programming language in the university. So I'm not, you know, the integrating or adding static typing to Ruby is pretty tough things, just because, you know, Ruby just works without any type annotations. So I'm strongly against adding optional type notation to Ruby. But instead, I want to add some kind of what am I saying? Right? The extensive compile time type inferences system named duck inferencing. That is the big topic in the keynote in the RubyConf next month.
Thank you for your speech. Thank you for Ruby. I have a question about backward compatibility and more important about forward compatibility. Because, for example, projects that were made on Rails 2 not always may work on recent Ruby versions. What's your opinion on that?
So we very care about the compatibility. So we once had a big issue between 1.8 and 1.9, just because we replaced the virtual machines and the language system, the string systems. So we had the huge compatibility gap between 1.8 and 1.9. And the other language, like Python, had a huge compatibility gap between Python 2 and Python 3. And that makes language evolution very slow. Because, you know, we had 5-year latency in the migration from 1.8 to 1.9. And in Python community, they have more than 10 years, or maybe, 10 years latency in the migration from Ruby 2, Python 2 from Python 3. So I don't want that kind of the moratorium or maybe the latency in the community. So the Ruby 3, even the Ruby 3 is a major release, but I will try to make the compatibility gap as small as possible. So I expect the 5 to 98% of your program will run without any modification in Ruby 3.
Hello. Thank you for one of the best languages in the world. And what about some words about new garbage collection model and algorithm in next Ruby release?
The garbage collection has been improved heavily since Ruby 2.0. I mean, so if any of you running your application in Ruby 2.0, so just replacing Ruby 2.3 will gain maybe 10 to 15% performance improvement just by replacing the virtual machine. So due to the garbage collection improvement. So the huge garbage collection improvement is not planned for Ruby 3, but we will introduce guilds, so we will improve the garbage collector work well with guilds, so you can only collect the object per guilds so that you can reduce the scope of the garbage collection. So you may or may not we'll see the improvement in garbage collection.